Hey everybody, this is Burt.
And this is Matt.
This is Hope Something Sticks. So, I wanted to do an episode that's a little less political than we usually do. I was actually thinking this week of maybe kind of just summarizing all of the Game of Thrones episodes in general instead of just doing it one at a time. But when there's a insurrection in your country's capital, uh, you kind of have to talk about it.
I mean, whatever. Only when one of the insurrectionists is named Zeldin. That's your representative. That's your
Zeldin?
Republican representative out of New York who decided to say, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we can get to all of them, but just kind of summarize for anyone who's living under a rock. When both chambers of Congress were counting the votes from the electors of all the different states, some of the representatives and senators thought it'd be a good idea to challenge the election again, basically under the direction of President Trump, and they ginned up a whole bunch of fever amongst their supporters, and well, we got what we got.
Yeah, you mix that on top of a very underwhelming police presence,
Yeah.
and you have a recipe for people literally taking shits in the in the halls of Congress, the Capitol building, the big cheese
Mm-hmm.
factory.
Yep. So,
They're being rounded up as we speak.
no, yep. Now, as for what Congress is doing, what counting the votes of electors, um, contrary to what some Republicans are saying, it's meant to basically make sure that the votes were authentic and that the actual state government, the legitimate state government, sent the votes to them. Because once upon a time, the state government, there were multiple entities in some states uh, that sent their own votes from their own
That is
electors.
awesome. I had no idea about this.
Yeah, not until well last Wednesday, and and of course one of those states was South Carolina because it's South Carolina.
Hey, sure.
That what it isn't is a chance to try to discredit those votes and say we don't like these votes. We don't like how they came about. Getting these votes. We don't like how they ran their election to decide on these votes. Yet, according to certain Republicans, that's exactly what that session was for, thus undermining the power of the states and undermining what they've been saying for decades that there needs to be a separation of powers, not only uh, in the federal government between the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative, but also separation of powers between the federal government and the state governments.
Keep going. You're on a roll.
So, and yeah, the I mean, each state government had their election, ran their election by their own laws, which are not all the same. Because again, they have the power to decide how their elections go and how they come up with their electoral college votes. And there were challenges to multiple states, and they were presented to their state courts, and they went through each case, each grievance. There were multiple audits in a lot of these, in all the states, Arizona, Georgia, all the, the battleground states, perhaps even more, and they came to the conclusion that it was a fair election within their own state, and thus they selected their electors based on their state's laws, and the electors voted. None of the electors in any of the states were faithless electors. They all voted for the person they were supposed to vote for, and it tallied up that Biden got more electoral college votes than Donald Trump. And the likes of Ted Cruz and Haley, the guy from Missouri, the senator from Missouri.
Hawley was the first one. Then you've got Cindy Hyde Smith in Mississippi. You've got John Kennedy in Louisiana. You got Roger Marshall in Kansas. And you got everybody's crowd favorite, Tommy Tuberville in Alabama.
Yep.
Those were the senators.
And Ted Cruz from Texas.
And Ted, yeah, sure, that guy. Along with 121 representatives in the House.
Yep. And many of these people were calling to question the votes of states that they did not live in.
Sure, yeah, why not? Go for it. Like Tommy Tuberville. He's your senator in Alabama, by the way, objecting, along with Ted Cruz, the Texan, to the votes in Arizona.
Yep. So, trying to silence the voters of Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia, among others, Michigan. So, I guess they just don't believe in states' rights. And you know what? If they don't like how things are done in America, Ted can cruise back on over to Canada.
I thought he was from Cuba.
Everyone else can... No, he's from Canada.
Oh, okay. He has to leave the beard. He's got to leave his beard, though. Can't take that with him.
That was grown in America.
That's an anchor. It's an anchor baby on his face.
And yeah, everyone else can go to their socialist European monarchies that their people came from if they don't like it.
No doubt. The polls
here in America, we believe in states' rights and the separation of powers.
You know it. There's our power, and then there's all hail the leader.
Oh, that's what they were doing.
Unbelievable.
So that was kind of the match to the powder keg with all those senators, congressmen, and the president himself saying that it was an illegitimate election and they had the power to stop it. Pence had the power to stop it, the vice president, which he didn't. And overturn their election and make Donald Trump the first president that was elected by the Congress instead of by the states.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling this just a run up. It's all just a trial run for a bigger thing. A much more terrible thing.
Well, they
it's supposed to be a funny podcast, by the way. It's supposed to be a lighthearted, let's just make fun of Game of Thrones kind of thing. Not even make fun of it. I love that show. But it's done so many things for me.
Yeah. That's another thing you can thank Donald Trump for.
Yeah, really.
This podcast not being funny.
Yeah, really. It's all his fault.
We have to talk about this. So...
just for like a few more minutes. Just a few more days.
So because of this, there was an insurrection into the Capitol building where a whole bunch of Trump supporters smashed into the federal building, bashing their way through the Capitol Police. Most of them. Some of the Capitol Police just let them go.
Right.
Uh, and yeah, they made their ways to inside the Senate floor. Almost made it to the floor of the House, but there were armed policemen barricading themselves in and pointing their guns to the doors, uh, and and the terrorists, which is what they are, um, got into the different offices of the senators and congressmen, and it hasn't really been talked about at all. But you don't know exactly who was in that crowd. There could have been, foreign spies in that crowd, for all you know, and they had access to the offices of senators and congressmen.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Who knows what they took and who knows what they left? They're going to have to sweep everything.
Yep.
Which,
Really
who knows what the CIA is doing? I'm sure the CIA's already got theirs, and they'll be like, hey, why am I encountering interference?
Yeah. I just have buzzing now.
Can you go reset the server or something?
So, I read this article in the Washington Post about the woman who got shot, Ashley Babbitt, and
you don't have to say her name.
Might as well.
That's another dig. If you Google "say her name," that's an organization specifically dedicated to remembering the lives and names of black women who have been murdered by police. Not Ashley fucking Babbitt, but somehow she's trending because
the alt-right likes to kind of take over those slogans.
Yeah, if it's
like Save the Children's another one that they took over.
We could go all day with things that white people have stolen from black people. What were you getting on about?
Well, just kind of reading about her story. She was an Air Force veteran, and she was for a time part of a unit of the Air Force that was tasked with protecting the Capitol building.
Oh, fun!
So she knew what the procedures would be. What the rules of engagement would be. Basically what they could and would do. So she definitely shouldn't have had any delusions of what could have happened to her, and did.
Based on the video that I've seen, it almost looked like an accident. Because she was in the middle of this other crowd. In a what looked like a tightly packed corridor. And there were SWAT members in the corridor. Well, I don't know if they were SWAT teams, but these guys were in full tactical gear, and they were packing some hardware. And then you just see, you hear a shot, then she goes down, and that's it. There were plenty of people in front and behind her. It seemed like it was an accident.
Well, whoever shot that bullet, intentionally pulled the trigger. Now maybe he or she was freaked out when they did it, because there's a whole mass of people coming through into the Capitol building.
I'm not blaming the cop at all in this one. If anything, they should have used their tasers and their mace, several hundred yards before they reached the steps. They didn't seem to have any hesitation doing that in any other circumstance. I don't know where the hesitation was coming from on this one, and I'm being sarcastic in that regard, since several of them knew these people. Several of these people in the crowd were veterans were off-duty cops, were people with, they
Mm-hmm.
just flashed badges, which got one guy fired since it was a marketing badge, so his ass is shit canned.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get it. I don't. Why didn't they just mace the shit out of everybody? Like actually, not like that one lady putting the onion to the face.
I don't know, and I'm actually surprised not more of those people died.
Yeah,
I
where was the
mean,
tear gas?
it's the, I mean it's the fucking Capitol building, and you're just letting people go into it with impunity.
Yeah, you know, and it's not like they didn't immediately attack a police officer. One of the first images is them approaching these gates, these fences that weren't tied together at all, and they're attacking the fence, and there's like three or four officers. They push the fence so hard they knock an officer back, and she hits her head on the steps. It looks like she ended up getting a concussion almost instantaneously. Only
Mm-hmm.
one officer rushes forward to then proceed to what I like to call bash the hippies. Because if they were hippies, they wouldn't have hesitated. But they weren't hippies necessarily. Even though guaranteed half these people were high.
So, well, back to Babbitt. What I found interesting was just kind of her story and how she got radicalized.
Hmm.
Like, so apparently she voted for Barack Obama when he ran for president.
Twice or once?
And what?
Both times?
I don't know about both times, at least once. And she said that he did some good things and he made some mistakes. Um, Pretty,
Holy shit, he's human?
yeah, these decent critique of how he did. He did good things.
Concession!
He did bad things. Yep. So, and how she kind of came from that to, you know, getting shot in the Capitol building, like going to, kind of being an early adopter of all this QAnon shit and just reading about it, and just listening to the whacked out right wing media and how, believing in this cabal of child molesting satanic Democrats, and how, and her and I think a lot, probably most of the people that were there, probably aren't doing well financially. Uh, their lives aren't going the way they thought they would. And I think what it comes down to is that these people couldn't handle that they didn't have control over what was happening in their lives, and they had to turn that into an enemy, something that they could fight.
Mm.
And because so she was, owned a business, a pool cleaning business that wasn't doing so well, and then you have this pandemic and things were shutting down, so it was doing even worse. And I think just all that combined, like, people have the idea that if they work hard, they're going to be fine financially, which isn't the case. A lot of the time for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what
So much
that's
of
what
it depends.
bailouts are for. God damn it!
Yeah, but a lot of it just has to do with the environment that you're in.
Sure.
And and what's funny is, yeah, your champion is a person who comes from a very privileged environment, who could not fail no matter how hard he tried. Uh, just kept failing his way up. Yeah. But anyway, um, and I could see how just having it be simple that why you're not succeeding is because of this group of people, and once they're gone, everything's going to be okay. Once you fight them and beat them, that's it. Yeah, everything's going to be, you know, good and dandy after that. And you have these QAnon people, the right wing media, and Donald Trump himself saying that, you know, if you follow me, I will, you know, basically save this country, save you. All I need is your support and your loyalty, and then everything's going to be all right after that. And a lot of these people just believe it because it's easy to believe the lie than just live in the reality where, hey, shit sucks, and a lot of times there's nothing you can do about it. People can affect change, but they can't, you know, there's things that they just can't control.
Right. And then you have this person shilling a magical pill after. Now that you gotta mention how often was she ingesting this nonsense, and only this nonsense.
Constantly.
Yeah, exactly. It's not one time you read this shit and then, oh my god, I'm radicalized. It's a constant feed, a constant drip, and nothing else.
And it seems like she has psychological problems too, because she was constantly harassing her ex-husband's wife, or her husband's ex-wife. I think that was her husband's ex-wife.
It's completely normal.
And got 2 restraining orders on her. And yeah,
I can neither confirm nor deny the normalcy of what I just heard.
whether it's normal or not,
That's a different form of radicalization for a different show.
It's not healthy.
It's a different form of healthiness for a different show.
So, in the article that I read about her, is it's sad in a way. She's responsible for what she did, but also, there's people who were just benefiting off of these type of people, for monetary reasons, for just egomaniacal power trips. And you know what? They were completely abandoned after they acted in the way that these people and these organizations told them to act. After that insurrection happened, almost all of those Republican senators and congressmen, backed off and said, "Oh no, this is terrible."
Right? Yeah, sure.
This is not what America's about. I've been saying that all along, how this was a fair election, and basically just gaslighting everybody with what they've been saying for the past couple of months.
Yeah, fuck them.
And calling these people rioters and criminals for doing what they basically were told to do. And Donald Trump, he gave up on them instantly after he was told, hey, if you don't give up on these people and say that, these are bad people who need to go to jail, essentially, then it increases the likelihood of you getting thrown out of office and getting impeached. And if you get impeached, you lose all your stipends, you lose your Secret Service detail, and you can't run for president anymore. That's why he fucking just caved.
Right.
And after calling everyone special the day of, call them criminals the day after. So you're abandoned by the congressmen, senators, the president. You're abandoned by the right-wing media. And they called you the exact opposite of what you are. They called you Antifa.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Posing as Trump supporters. So think of the person who got back home from that and was called a criminal by all the people that they were trusted, or called Antifa by the media that they trusted, just seeing the blatant lies that they made to cover up the fact that they're partially responsible for that insurrection terrorist attack. And so if there are any people who have, those type of people, Trump supporters who ever listen to this podcast, look what happened. You were completely abandoned, gaslighted by these people that, you trusted above all else. And, they called everyone else sheep for not believing what you believed. And I hope they see the truth now, that these people, these organizations don't give a shit about you. They're just trying to make a buck off of you, as far as the media and Trump is, and using you, for their own personal power. They don't give a shit about you.
Strong words. Unfortunately, they're going to have to listen to your strong words several hundred times.
We'll see. I'm sure.
I hope so. Oh yeah, they'll see when they're
jarring.
in fucking prison.
Yeah.
And when they can't brag about it, because that's what the main thing was going to be, was being able to brag about this shit. They wanted to be seen.
Yeah.
They wanted to be heard, and they had no other They had no other way of venting how they felt. And now what do you got? You got some of them who were elected members of their state representatives. So, the West Virginia guy,
Yep.
gone, had to resign.
Yep.
Hopefully, of course, our Illinois, our Southern Illinois Nazi, hasn't resigned yet. Mary Miller, who the day of said Hitler, was quoting Mein Kampf. Then the next day, trying to walk that back with just a statement.
No. Well, now a lot of those people are going to federal pound me in the ass prison.
Yep, maybe that'll make them see the light. Like, oh, this was the answer the whole time. Butt stuff. That's the answer to all this.
Well, we're about to find out.
Like I said, several hundred poundings. That's what it's going to take.
But yeah, as kind of the days go by and kind of make a sense of what happened, it kind of looks even worse than what it did in the beginning. You see pictures of these people carrying around zip ties and riot gear, and a lot of them were straight up planning to take Congress hostage and start an actual revolution.
You sure about that?
And a lot of them were surprised that the cops were stopping them, because they thought the cops would join with them. They thought Trump would send support. They thought it was happening. They thought they were the revolution started on that day.
Didn't that guy find those zip ties specifically designed for handcuffing people? Didn't he find those?
What?
That was his defense. He has openly stated that he found those and was going to return them. Just like the other guy's defense of sitting in Nancy Pelosi's office chair was looking for the bathroom.
Well, he's going to have a hard time with that, considering there were 2 videos of him stating exactly what he was doing.
These people are not nearly as...
elation of doing it.
I totally understand, and I'm trying... And I can be as empathic as the next person in terms of radicalization. Truly, that is happening to children. These are grown-ass adults, and they need to learn that another person's... There's always another viewpoint. Everybody knows that, and everybody learns that from a very young age. There's always 17 sides to a 2-sided coin. So a kid, I would understand being radicalized very easily. An adult, man, I would not have felt bad if more of them were shot. I really wouldn't have. Because, that's what you would expect to happen with people barging through the gates. Where was the mace?
If that,
Where was the batons? Isn't that what most cops sign up for? Is to use their weapons? I mean, I half these cops were probably rock hard when this was going on.
I don't know about that, but it so those cops were severely outnumbered.
Truly.
And where were their backup? Where was the National Guard? Where were all these?
I was looking at the tweets on that one. Apparently, the Secretary of the Army had to be brought in, and until the Secretary of the Army actually said, "Do you guys want help?" Only then did the National Guard actually say, "Okay."
Yeah, I mean,
they kept saying they didn't have authorization. They didn't have authorization.
Oh, but that's horseshit because they knew that they were there.
Right.
They were hanging out for days, like a shit ton of people.
Right.
They were saying what the hell they were doing, at least going to the Capitol building.
This was...
And again, the argument that, of the the racist undertones in the whole situation, where I saw a clip of Tucker Carlson saying, "Well, I don't understand how any of this is racist, because you are the world's oldest 8-year-old child, Tucker."
He's not even to be taken seriously. His lawyers specifically said he's not to be taken seriously, and that's how he won his court case.
But yeah, you had a very large Black Lives Matter group of protesters at Washington D.C. Around the Capitol building. You had a shit ton of security there for them. There was like a picture of I saw a picture of like the National Guard just standing outside the Lincoln Memorial as if a whole bunch of black people were going to destroy the Lincoln Memorial.
Right.
But they're all over the place for the Black Lives Matter people. And, they have the same kind of warning, of those pro-Trump protesters. They start off as protesters, then turn into insurrectionists, terrorists, rioters. And there's a shit ton of them. So why wasn't there a similar response for just how many people were there during the, for what they thought would be, a protest? So that's where it comes in that the blatant racism of, hey, there's a whole bunch of black people, let's send everyone there to protect the Capitol. Oh, there's a bunch of people who are mostly white who say they love cops. Just the regular detail is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and that superintendent of Capitol Police, his ass is gone.
Yep.
That was within hours of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, demanding his resignation.
And that's another thing, the alt-rights, the Republicans, Donald Trump say they're so pro-police. The police officer, the Capitol police officer who died in the line of duty, who was only the fourth Capitol police officer to die in their entire history. In the Capitol building, Nancy Pelosi, told, whoever the flag person is to have the flag at half-mast for that officer who gave their lives to defend them. And the same courtesy was not made in the White House. The White House flag stayed right up there.
Wow.
So much for that.
Truly.
They're supporting the cops unless they are the ones who are the ones killing those cops. So I hope that's a wake-up call to the police officers. These jerk-offs aren't your friends. They say they are, they like to believe that they are, but they'll mow you down if they believe that you're in their way. And they did. I think there were like 50 officers who were injured.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, where do we go from here then? I mean, because we still got the inauguration that's still coming up, and I just saw on Twitter somewhere that there was an attack planned for the 17th of January, and there's still some proceedings that might happen. Probably not, because I've been looking at whether or not the impeachment of Trump is going to actually go forward, and even if the impeachment gets passed by the House, it wouldn't even come to a vote in the Senate because they're in pro forma sessions, which I had to look up whatever the hell that meant. It's just mechanical sessions that just rubber stamping crap through. They're not actually meeting for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, if he gets impeached, he's not going to get thrown out of office because he'll be just out of office by that time anyway.
Well, regardless, it's still important for him to face some kind of repercussions, because you can't have no repercussions for egging people on the day of at their rally saying, go over there. Yeah, that's where they all are. Go get them.
Yeah, well, there would be significant repercussions. Again, like how I mentioned, he'll lose a stipend. All presidents get a stipend for travel, a pension, which is like something like $400,000 a year or something. $1 million a year in travel, lifetime detail of Secret Service members, which I think he should still have because he was still the president and had privileged secrets. So you don't really want him being kidnapped by, foreign entities.
Just give him the cyanide pills and maybe he'll do the right thing.
Nah.
Yeah, no doubt. Who would talk faster? Who would talk faster? Him or me? Who would talk faster? Him or me?
Him.
I don't know. I'd talk pretty fast. All right, this is my secret grandma's oatmeal recipe. I'll tell you anything. The check's in the mail. Oh, God. I haven't even touched this guy yet.
He would crack as fast as anybody. But, what was I saying?
Will there be more insurrectionist acts?
Most importantly, if he does get impeached again, he will not be able to run for president again. Denying him that platform of basically starting all this shit over again, and there'll be nothing you do. Best you could hope for to become, governor of Florida or something.
Entirely possible. I'm going to rule that out.
Very much. No, I wouldn't either.
It's Florida. It's the land of possibility. Florida's the land of possibility, all right? It's the land of 17 chances. All right? Yep. Just do whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
Right up until you can't. But you'd have to get convicted. Not just impeached. You have to get convicted by the Senate, too, in order to lose all that stuff that you're talking about.
I don't think so.
So what, is it just a second time around impeachment?
Yeah.
Oh, if you get impeached twice, you lose all that stuff.
Yep.
All right, good.
I believe so.
That better fucking happen.
I heard it twice on the news, yeah. That would be the case.
As Imgur would say, I need the sauce on that.
And,
all right.
And there's even, there are some Republicans that are fine with that. They would support it. They publicly said they would support it, which did not happen the first time around, except for Mitt Romney.
Right. Yeah. This is the only one who actually voted to convict and stop this bullshit train that was clearly on fire a long time ago from continuing. They all had a fucking chance. They all had that chance over a year ago to stop this bullshit.
Thus cementing it's his title of the most honorable Republican of his generation.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
What did he fucking do? The guy who ended up having to attack his own piece of legislation that he kind of invented.
Yeah.
What a weirdo. God, his brain must be... His brain's rotating faster than the Earth right now.
Yeah. Well, he's also, I'm sure, the happiest Republican in the Senate right now, or in any chamber of Congress. It's like, I told you so. It's like, we know, Mitt. We're fucked here, man. No. It's all the backtracking these Republicans are doing now.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very honorable to jump ship when the ship is on fire. You know, that's super, super smart. That's good stuff. And we didn't even talk about them objecting. You know, I'm going back to the representatives and the people who objected to the votes. They didn't even talk about... They're just referring to the president. They're not referring to any of their newest members who are on the same stupid ballots, going through the same damn process. What the fuck are you even talking about?
Yeah. Those are fun.
You think it's a different ballot? Or it's getting scanned a different way? Mr. Oh, son of a bitch, I'm coughing. Oh, getting pissed off. I'm getting hung up on how many different representatives have the same last name. That's what's making me laugh right now.
Yeah, well.
Oh, God.
You got common names and a lot of representatives.
Yeah, no doubt. You got Carter in Georgia, Carter in Texas. There's only 2 Johnsons, Louisiana and Ohio. There's only 2 Smiths, Missouri and Nebraska. You got 2 Millers. You got one in West Virginia and your Ava Braun type over here in Illinois. Hey, what's up? That's Southern Illinois. Thank you very much. 2 different states. A little bit different. There's only 1 Gomert, though. Who would have thought? You got 2 different Greens, but only one's got an E. That's the one in Georgia. Not to be confused with the one in Tennessee. Who else did we have? I always get messed up on the Fs. Fischbach, Fitzgerald, and Fleischman. Down in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, respectively. See if you can help me pronounce this one. Desjardins. D-E-S, capital J, A-R-L-A-I-S. Desjardins. Desjardins.
Sure.
He's in Tennessee. Or she's in Tennessee. I don't know. It's just the last names. That's all they did. But then you got the Kellys, Mississippi and Pennsylvania. I think that's it. I think those are your repeats. And if you've been keeping count, I think that still leaves you with, 100 other assholes. Oh, then there's the Rogerses in Alabama and Kentucky. My apologies. Don't want to leave you out.
About it that I had. The news that should have been the news, that it was the news that that morning, was that both Warnock and Ossoff both won their elections in Georgia, and thus giving the Democrats the majority in the Senate as well as the House. Both of them very slim majorities, but they do have the majority with the tying vice presidential vote.
If you haven't listened to Stank On Ya by Outkast, now would be the time.
And it really is a testament of how badly Trump fucked the Republican Party, that the state of Georgia, the 2 senators from Georgia is a black guy and a Jew. Those are your representatives of Georgia.
Hey now, ow, ow.
So yeah, your first black and first Jewish senators from Georgia.
Fun stuff.
No Georgia crackers this time around. For the next few years. At least.
As somebody with Florida crackers in their family, I nominally resent that statement. Florida cracker, as we will mention in almost every episode going forward, is a term of endearment in Florida. Come on!
Alright. So noted.
It's like a ranching term or some shit. I don't fucking know.
But, yeah. That was pretty cool to see, and I had the perfect song lined up for those election wins. The parody song of Black and Yellow, Black and Jewish.
It's good stuff. Any Wiz Khalifa fans out there? Doubt it. Yeah, my brother-in-law did not respond to that text. When I sent him that, he didn't respond to that at all. Then again, he doesn't respond to any of my political texts, so he's a pretty busy guy. He's busy pumping shit or something. I don't know what he's doing down there.
No, he's pumping grease.
So yeah, the other stuff. Fixing pipes. He's like Mario. He's like a Georgian Mario. Just here to fix the shit tubes and get the Bowsers out of the castle. That's it.
You got anything else to add?
I could, you could like want to read down every single name, and then you could just sort of fade that out. Is that possible?
Yeah, but before you do that, then let's kind of do a little outro here. So yeah, anyone can write us in at hopesomething.sticks@gmail.com. We'll read your emails. If you have any questions, if you have, critique, if you have suggestions on what we should talk about, we'll read it out and consider it. And yeah, all right. So without further ado, go ahead, Matt.
These are your traitorous representatives from the House of Congress. Ader Holt, Republican, Alabama. Allen, Republican, Georgia. Arrington, Republican, Texas. Babin, Republican, Texas. Baird, Republican, Indiana. Banks, Republican, Indiana. Bergman, out of Michigan. Bice, Oklahoma. Just assume the rest are Republicans. Biggs, Arizona. Bishop, not to be confused with the other guy, Texas. Smith, Missouri. Smith, Nebraska. Stube, Florida. Tiffany, Wisconsin. Timmons, South Carolina. Bandrew, New Jersey. Not North Jersey. Wahlberg, Michigan. Valorsky, Indiana. Weber, Texas. Webster, Florida. Williams, Texas. Wilson, South Carolina. Wright, Texas. And Zeldin, out of presumably upstate New York. That's it. Oh, well, I mean, if you want to go through I think we already mentioned the senators: Cindy Hyde, John Kennedy, Roger Marshall, Tommy Tuberville, Ted Cruz, and Josh Hawley. That's it. For now.
While you were doing that, I was going through Facebook and saw this post by our old friend Hard Right Bob.
Oh yeah, what's up with him?
He's still doing his thing.
Wow.
He messaged another one of my former coworkers about the importance of free speech, and even hate speech is free speech, and basically it's just dumping on the Twitters of the world banning Trump and whatever.
Sure.
But
It's understandable.
yeah, but my coworker is not biting on that.
When you incite violence, no one has the right to yell fire in a theater.
Yeah, and I get this. Would guess Hard Right Bob is a big fan of Parler.
Is that still allowed to exist now that Amazon Web Services has made it not exist?
I mean, I guess you can still use it on your computer.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. He also
Good.
belongs
So
to
the only person they're going to get looking at it are people who don't leave their house too often. I'm completely fine with that.
I wonder if he's going to make another post about the importance of states' rights.
Why would he do that? He doesn't seem to give too much of a shit if it doesn't align with his already formed views.
Well, they used to until last Wednesday. I'd imagine.
I'd like to know what his trauma is. Really, I mean, that's what we're really getting at nowadays is what is your trauma? Please start off with that, so that way we can base all of our judgment of you and your political views and your crazy shit off that.
Well, I didn't talk to him that much.
Not having that stuff.
Well, I didn't talk to him much, but it probably has something to do with him being a lonely old man in a dead-end job.
Well, that might do it. I can't control my world, and no one wants to listen to me. Wah.
Funny enough, that's some of the people who talk the most.
Right. Because no one's listening to them.
Yeah, all this
so I must talk
unsolicited
louder
information.
and clearly, slowly. Talk loudly and slowly.
Yep. All right, well, that will be it for this episode. Next week, let's talk about fucking Game of Thrones or something. Jesus, none of this shit. Unless there's another coup attempt.
There will be. See you in the Capitol for Hammer Time, Part 2.
All right, everybody. Take it easy, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. We'll talk to you soon.
Get your booty to the polls. Get your booty to the polls.
Unless you write in. Nudge, nudge.
They did write in. We were supposed to talk about sex.
One person wrote in. We talked about relationships.
We'll talk about sex next episode.
Well, it's Game of Thrones, so
guaranteed.
Yeah.
Sex will come up in the next episode. It's gonna happen.
All right. See you, everybody.
Laters. Peace.